Hello, good evening and welcome. Does age matter in politics? First, we heard the tales of babies with sharp teeth and the entire furor that came with it. Then we laughed, even as we winced over the edited speech incident. Right now, though, we are not laughing anymore. How can we, when Ghanaians' international image has been dented by the unmeasured speech of no less a person than the Deputy Minister of Communication? There are many weighty issues to consider as a result of this political blunder. But today I'm not so much interested in what she said or who she said it about. I want us all to consider the implications putting such youthful persons in such powerful positions. Some have called it a strategic effort to court and capture the political massive youth vote. Others have justified it by pointing to Dominic Nitingwu, who became Ghana's youngest MP at only 25 years, or former President Jerry John Rawlings, who first came to power at the age 31. There is a good and a bad side to everything. Today, I want to explore the question, does age matter in politics? My name is Nana Sakwa, and this is PM Express. I introduce my guest when we come back. Good evening and welcome back again. And today the topic is, does age matter in politics? And that's what we're going to discuss. It's been one of those things which I need not even explain to you why this topic is on the table today. But with me in the studio is Samuel Kingsford Segler, Research Fellow, Center for Policy and Research. He was only here recently. Samuel, you're welcome back to the studio. Samuel, straight question. Does age matter in politics?
Thank you, and I think we need to put it in its proper context. In Ghana, we respect age. In Africa, we respect age. And so if you look at our constitution, it stated that at a certain age, someone is matured enough. We believe that at a certain age, somebody is matured enough to vote for our leaders. We believe that at age 18, somebody is matured enough to vote for our leaders. We believe that at age 21, someone is matured enough to be a member of parliament and to make laws for all of us to abide by such laws. We believe that at age 40 and above, somebody is matured enough to be president, although we don't have any scientific basis for making such a provision. So you can see that we respect age and we seem to do everything by age. And in Africa, we seem to believe that maturity resides in the aged. Yet we are said to be practicing democracy. Now, look at US and India, for instance. At age 35, you can't become president. Look at President Obama, David Cameron, and look at the average age of leaders in the Western world. Compare them to the kind of leaders we have in Africa. They are relatively older. But look at the development gap. This is the situation. Now, let's look at the people who fought for our independence. They were fairly young. Kwame Nkrumah, for instance, was in his late 30s. Now, so let's look at the early days of the Nkrumah era. The people who drafted the 10-year development plan, people like J.H. Mensah and co., they were very young. They had just come out of school. Let's look at former President Rawlings, as you said. He was 31 when he became head of state. Dominic Nitingwu entered parliament at the age of 25. So even though we seem to respect age so much, looking at our history, you can look at the early days of the PNDC era. People like Tutobi Kwache and Dahois were very young. So even though we respect age, looking at our history, our past, the people who fought for us were relatively young. Now, the question is not about the age. It's about ability to demonstrate competence. Because we can have older people who cannot demonstrate competence. Mm-hmm. So it's not about the age, it's about ability to demonstrate competence. People have said that maturity is a function of age, and others also believe that the two are mutually exclusive. And I believe with the second opinion, that maturity is not a function of age. So in looking at age and ministerial position, I think we should place it in this kind of context. Then we can have the discussion.
You see, you mentioned, going into parliament at 21, mm-hmm. and then becoming president at 40, mm-hmm. and then what at 18, or you can vote at 18. Vote. You see, if you look at all these things, we sort of borrow it from the Western world. Yes. Sort of, our constitution, our laws and everything seem to be borrowed from the English laws. These are not laws that we coined out of nowhere. We sort of emulate these laws. Now, you see, within the advanced country, at 18, you most probably have left home. You're on your own. It's very rare to still be living with your parents at 18. Even if you are somewhat contributing to that household. Some even leave home at 16 because, you're a girl, you're pregnant, so the state gives you a house or a project, you go, and then you start life. In our case, it's different. We tend to stay home much longer because sometimes even the economy doesn't give you the benefit to move out. So maturity comes with that generally much, much later. So going by this assertion, aren't we pushing people in there too young? Kwame Nkrumah them were under the British rule, so they might have that benefit of maturity. But, the average SS child today can't go and rent a SNIT flat and say, oh, I'm 19, so I'm going to rent a SNIT flat, work at McDonald's, and then pay for it. So you somehow haven't tasted the world.
Really? As you said, in Africa, even you can go to a house, the mother in the house is also a child. What I mean is you can have a 16-year-old mother who is depending on her parents, but she also has children. So we depend on our family for a longer time before becoming independent. Now, but the discussion we are having is whether age really matters in politics. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that it doesn't really matter. It is your ability to demonstrate your level of maturity, competence, and exercise discretion.
Okay, I'm going to take a break here, and I want to find out, it doesn't matter how much mature a person is. Would you have been able to go through the mill to handle that much power when they give it to you? When we come back from the break, the discussion continues.
Bagbin claims that he would want to meet the president one-on-one because there are certain things going on that may not inure to the benefit of the electoral fortunes of the party, not least being the seeming inaction on the issues of corruption which are plaguing this country at every turn. And so the president should listen to some of the counsel that some of them may be prepared to give. And the president turns around and says that tough. He doesn't need this from anybody. He expected comradeship. What does the comradeship and solidarity the president is seeking from his older colleagues mean? What import does it take? Meaning, don't ever point out to me that things are going wrong. Just support whatever I do or do not do. I think that's not the way to secure proper governance for all of us in this country. Good or bad, we're stuck with him for the next 3 years at least, barring the unforeseen happening. And we all pray that nothing like that happens. But so we all expect that at least he will lend a listening ear to those who are seeking to point out the fact that he is charting the course and it is not very straight. So there are certain things that he needs to do which he's not doing. And he says he's not going to listen to anybody. They can all go hang. That's the import of what the president is saying because he thinks that they're eyeing his seat in 2016.
Sorry, this wasn't the audio we're going to play. We're going to play an audio where Ursula was actually pointing out to one of the panelists on the issue of age, not this one, so I apologize on it. But Roverman is back again and introducing Nash, the braggart, Santo, the service manager, and Tracy, the stewardess. What do they have in common with an illiterate grandmother, a bishop, and his celebrity wife? Nothing. Put them together in an airport, add tons of driver, and you have The Last Flight, a hilarious, thought-provoking play about humanity and diversity. The Last Flight, produced by Roverman Production in partnership with Joy FM, National Theatre, and Graphic Showbiz, shows at the National Theatre this 30th of November and 1st December 2013. The time is 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. 2 shows on each day. Ticket is 50 Ghana Cedis. The ticket outlets are all the Shell shops at Airport, Community 11, Achimota, and Sakabai. Joy FM, Bachona Total, Frankie's, Osu, Jane and Supermarket. So swap your old electronic tickets at any of these outlets, and I think you get a discount when you swap your tickets, or buy online at www.rovermanproductions.com. A 10% discount applies to tickets recharged online or swiped at the outlet. The hotline is 30118 or 054 853 216. 054 835 3216. Main sponsors are MTN and RLG. Other sponsors: Cool World Electrical Store, Merchant Bank, Lifebuoy Soap, and Voltic. The Last Flight is powered by Joy FM, Hits FM, and My Joy Online. In the studio, I have Samuel, and joining us on the phone now is one of our youngest MP, is Dominic Nitingwo, who is MP for Bimbila. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello, good evening.
Good evening, good evening. And this issue we're discussing today is that does age matter in politics? So who else shall we call other than you? Because you came in quite young at 25. What do you think? Are you the exception or the norm?
Let me again greet your cherished listeners and apologize to them that I wish I were actually in the studio, but apparently I'm not in Accra, so that's why I'm not there. In most countries all over the world, particularly in Africa, many people tend to believe that politics, before you actually get into politics, then there's a certain age you must be able to attain before. And that's why even in our constitution, you need to attain the age of 18 years before you be able to vote. But there are many, many young people in different parts of the world, even including our own Ghana, that have made serious impact in whichever field they find themselves, even in politics. You remember the former President Jerry Rawlings. Most of the people he used, from Chachuchi Carter to Dr. Dean Chambers, to the big party, and most of them, former President Kufuor, began politics at an age younger than 30 years. I think between 28 and 29 years. Of course, some of us also began at very young ages, 25 years. I know many others who also began around their 30s. But if you want to succeed in whatever field you find yourself, then you must know at what point you are, what responsibility you have, and which way you must behave. And so, whether you are young or you are old, it depends on you yourself and what you believe you can do and your ability, and how sensitive you are to the very position that you hold or the situation in which you find yourself. You know, if you go to the north, there's a very common saying that says that if you are a very young animal and then they use the rope of an old animal to tie you, then you must begin to sound like an old animal. And for that matter, whether you are young or old, when you begin to assume a position of responsibility, then you must act responsibly. So that's the bottom line. So if you ask me whether I'm part of the norm or an exception, the general public will at the end judge you, and prosperity will judge you, and the people of Ghana will judge you. So let's leave that one. Otherwise, one will end up by saying that, well, you are beating your own drums and singing your own praises and singing your own horns, which I don't think it should be the case.
Dominic, you see, everybody talks about maturity and act old and everything, but I mean, because you're going to handle a nation, you need to have gone through some sort of experience, which won't just come because I'm mature, you know it. I mean, if you're going to run an office or a shop or something, yes, maybe. But if you're going to be handed down a ministry, you must have gone through some experience to be able to do it, so you don't do some obvious mistakes. What do you think?
Yes, that's very true. I believe in that. I believe that before you are handed over some responsibility, that you must have some experience that people trust that you will not make mistakes. Ministerial position is not a place to nurture up and coming people. But remember something, and the people of Ghana, if they will listen a little bit, that age is not tantamount to experience or it doesn't equate to responsibility. I used to always say that gray hair is not a sign of wisdom. There are very young people in the system today who are very, very experienced. In fact, have been at the hem of the toughest or the highest point of politics for a very, very long time. But they are still very, very young people. I'll give you an example. I entered politics at the age of 25. I'm 36 years now. So if you are talking of being at the echelon of politics in terms of the highest body of political make, which is Parliament, I have been in that system for like almost 11 years. I don't believe that if I have to learn, then 11 years is enough for me to gain whatever experience I have to gain. But I'm still below the age of 40. So goes to people like a Siama. So goes to many, many other people who have been in the system. I know people who have begun as DCs, very young people. They are now MPs. They've been in the system 10 years, 12 years. But they're very, very young people. I'll give you one other example. The MP for Takrade Kobe or Shizako Mensa, he's about 7 years now. He was an assemblyman. From there, he became the chairman of the finance committee of the Takrade, Secondary Takrade Municipality Assembly. For a very long time, he has become a member of parliament. He's gaining serious experience. So, age may not necessarily be equated to experience. There are people who are 50, 60, 70 years, but may not have that kind of political experience that these names that I've mentioned have. So if you say that you need some bit of experience before you can assume some position, particularly that of ministerial position, because you have 25 million people. We're just lucky to have about some 70 to 75 or 80 people who are to man our ministries, who are to determine the policies that will move this nation forward, who are to carry out the vision of the party or the president who has won an election, who are to ensure that 4 years down the line, the life of the people of this nation improve. You cannot just throw any novice there or somebody who has just completed school who knows next to nothing about politics or about running a system or about managing people or about ensuring that your vision is fulfilled. If you do that, it's a huge mistake. There are several other places you can put such individuals, but there are very young people who are so experienced in the very field of politics that they can even be full ministers and they will succeed. Haruna Idrisu and who have been ministers for some time now. Nobody can fault them because they are doing well. So there are others who I think that could have been their political career could have been helped better if they had some bit of experience somewhere before they are pushed into doing some of the things that we see, some of the jobs that we see them doing now. So I fully agree with you that yes, you need experience, but it is not about age. There are young people who have so much experience, and there are old people who know next to nothing in terms of experience. So age may not come in here, but experience, I do agree.
You see, The reason why I'm still adamant with age and experience is that, yes, you may be sharp by the time you come out of Legon or your university. You may be the SRC leader, you've been class prefect, you've done all these things. But won't it be better to come in the ministry as like a research and, help with research and data? So by the time, you are now 36, you'd have 11 years of grassroots experience within the ministry, and then when you're eventually handed the office, you can make significant strides and compete with the Europes and the Americas, which we are supposed to compete with.
I just told you that you shouldn't equate politics to age. David Cameron, for example, became the leader of the opposition at 38 years. And ultimately, by the time he was 43, 44, he became the Prime Minister of the UK. But I can tell you that he entered Parliament at, I think, age either 28 or 32. I'll find out. I'm not very sure. But one of the ages, either 32 or 28 years. And he stayed there till the time he became the Prime Minister. So age necessarily is not tantamount to, especially in politics, to experience.
Dominic, let me interject here a little bit.
I think your ability to learn on the job, your ability to improve yourself is what is key. If you just come out of Legon, you are thrust into the ministry as minister or deputy minister, and you are not very careful, whether you are age 50, age 70, or age 25, you may make the same mistakes because you don't know the job. And you are not experienced enough to be able to handle the people because management is a difficult thing. In that case, then the people will have to do a lot of intensive in-service training before, and then they must get someone who can guide them, a senior person who can guide a person consistently. If you think that you just have to do it for some reason, then you must get somebody who will monitor them, who will tutor them, who will be their mentor, and guide them consistently until such a time that the person is experienced on the job. But I can tell you that I've already given you an example that there are very young people who are at the top of politics for so long that you think they are very old people, but they're very young. I give myself as an example. I've been in this game as an MP and doing at the top of politics for almost 11 years, but I'm just 36 years.
Okay, Dominic, hold on 1 second. I got in the studio somewhere. The reason why we are having this discussion was we've had babies with sharp teeth. We've had the unedited speech which didn't come. We've had ministers who are always angry that, these guys are too young, they're too rude, they're too angry. And that's why we're having this discussion. And it's all linked to inexperience, and inexperience because they've come into politics at a very young age and they've been handed huge responsibility. That's why we are discussing this issue. So it must be an issue.
Yeah, but the emphasis on age here is what I have a problem with. You see, what we lack in our society now is grooming and mentorship. Our ability as a society to groom leaders, that is what is lacking. There are some people who may need to undergo the internship or whatever you are talking about. There are others too who can come in and have the ability to learn very fast and excel. Honorable Nutiwo just told he came in at age 25. Mm-hmm. I don't want to believe that he didn't commit some mistakes that today he wouldn't do. But his ability to learn quickly and know that this is where I am today, this is what I need to do. And if you look at another person like Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, he became deputy minister at the age 29 or so. Now, if you look at him today speaking and look at Ablakwa yesterday, 2009, you can see that the guy has really improved. It is your ability to learn quickly and then excel. There are others who must necessarily undergo this kind of mentorship and grooming, assign them to ministers and deputies as maybe personal assistants. They assign them roles, they play such roles, they commit mistakes, you correct them. But there are others who can easily come in, no matter the age, learn quickly and excel. So age is not really the matter here. It's your ability to demonstrate competence, your ability to learn quickly on the job and do what is expected of you.
But we have to work with the norm and not the exception. The fact that Dominic came in at 25 means that, let's just go and get all our ministers at 25. He's an exceptional case.
And I just told you there are some who must necessarily have to undergo training. mentorship.
So what I'm saying, that because we are running a country, then we can't take chances. Why don't we go for the old and experienced?
How do we groom people for the future?
By doing research. They have to be in there and do research, not come and take the steering wheel and drive.
Doing research does not necessarily make you a good leader. You can have a good researcher, but you make him a leader and the person cannot perform.
But you can tell while he's doing his research. But let me engage Dominic. Dominic, so you gave me an example of David Cameron. Now, if you take David Cameron in the UK, he probably left home at 18, rented his own apartment, and did his own job, and so they sort of enter life at a much earlier age than we do. So in their side of the world, it might be okay. In our side, maybe we need a bit more time. What do you say?
I think there are people here who also enter life at a very young age. So if you have a very blanket cover for everybody, it may not do. Because there are people here who enter life, in fact, who even are more endowed than those outside. There are people here who have facilities who are even better off than those outside. So I'm not going to use that as a blanket.
I'm not talking about hustling and sleeping on the streets. I'm talking about
proper responsibility. I really understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
But let me tell you, if it is the goals that some young people have done or some obvious mistakes that shouldn't have been committed at that particular position that you hold, the responsibility you are given, I can tell you that if you were to do a map or if you were to do a graph of the age vis-a-vis what people do, the goals, the league, I'm sure that the youth will be lacking way behind, because there are several old men, bearded, mustache old men, white gray-haired guys who have displayed so much incompetence that is amazing. But you see, it's because a few young people have done it. Today we are suddenly talking about it, whether it's even good at all to even hand the country to young people, or to even give them responsibility. You just check our recent history in this nation, whether it's NDP time, NDC time, Rawlings time, or even Kwame Nkrumah. There are old people who have put so much. So I still want to let you know, and the country know, that it's not about the age, it's about the ability of the individual. It's about whether the president or the appointing authority really know the ability of the individual. There are very young people who are very sharp. There are others too who are not at all. It doesn't matter your age. There are old people who are very, very sharp, who do their work, experience, they know what they are about. There are others too, they are big disasters. They are complete disaster. So I want to say that whether it is Ghana or the UK, those youth who will excel will definitely excel. Those who will not, will not. Whether it's in America or Cameroon or Ghana, if you are a young man and you are prepared to learn and sit down and learn and make sure that you want to do your job properly and you know where you are going and where you have come from, you will excel. But if you decide that you want to play to the gallery, if you decide that, well, you will not consult anybody, if you decide that you are not going to reason that you have been given a responsibility, if you decide that indiscretion, you don't care about indiscretion, then it will happen the way this WikiLeaks or Victoria Hammer issue has happened. Because it doesn't matter where you are. It's happening everywhere. In the UK, MPs have been jailed. Several MPs have been jailed because of indiscretion. In America, several of them are resigning almost every time. There is no presidential term that an MP has not resigned in America because of indiscretion. Whether it's through sex or whether it's through a woman or whether it's through leaked tapes. A whole president has to resign in America because of the whole Gate. That Watergate scandal. That whole thing. So for me, I want to say that age really is not a factor. The way you use was experience. And experience can be acquired. People can acquire experience depending on your ability or capacity. Some can use 2 years to acquire enough experience. Some will use acquire that experience over a period of 20 years. So it depends on how you do it. The money you see, the judge just gave you an example of a few people who he believes that have acquired some experience after staying on the job for some time. Others have been, and they're even old people, and they are white, even in this current government. They have been there before, and I tell you, they are worse off. When they open their mouth, first to enter, you will run out of the place.
Dominic, I have a question. I'll put it to both of you. in that case, are we maybe spoiling them too early? Are we spoiling them too early? Because actually, Donny, let me let you answer, because actually you are an MP. Are we spoiling our young ministers too early? Straight out of Legon into an office, big V8, policeman and driver. Now, if that guy hadn't gone to ministerial position and went to work for, let's say, MTN or Vodafone, he lives in Spintex, he's going to come to work in Cantonment, there is no way any company would say, yeah, have a $100,000 car, take a bodyguard, take a driver. Are we spoiling them too early? Or is it because state money, well, let us splash it?
Well, if I would prefer to give an answer, I don't want to use the word we are spoiling them too early, but we should be careful which young people we throw into the limelight and at what particular time. Because if you throw the wrong people out there, that notion will stick that young people are a failure, and for that matter, they should not be given an opportunity. No. But even in this current system that we have, where there are several young people, if you do a graph, those who are successful are more than those who are failed in the system. So I don't believe that we are spoiling them at all. But I don't believe in the system where you just grab someone from the university straight into a ministerial position. I think that one, they should gain some bit of experience. That's why I told you that there are young people who are so much experienced, even in the NDC. There are several young people, even at the age of Victor Rama and others, who are so much experienced in politics. But if you just completely gone, you contest elections, and then straight away you become a minister, if you are not very careful, you will have the problems that you have. But if you go through the mill, you may still be very young, but you have gone through the mill seriously, from the grassroots, from all the training, whether through the party or whether through the local government system or whether through the executive system or through the parliamentary system. There are several systems that you can use to gain that experience. I believe that it doesn't matter your age at that time. If you are experienced enough, please let everybody have his chance. But if you're not experienced, it doesn't matter your age. I don't think you should be there. There are 40 years who are completely legal. They may not be experienced because maybe they went to school late or something happened or something. I don't think that they should be given that opportunity, because you are run, for God's sake, we are putting our life under your care. And if you are not experienced, if you have that useful exuberance and you are just running helter-skelter, you will not sit there and learn and help your minister, or you cannot even be, if you are a full minister, you are not able to do the work properly. I think we'll be joking as a country.
Let me put the same.
But like I said, if you put the wrong youth there, the notion will be that the young people cannot do anything. But I think that we are not rushing them. No, not at all.
Let me put the same.
There are several good ones who are doing well.
Okay, I'll put the same question to Samuel. Now, Samuel is a research fellow at Center for Policy and Research. Samuel, 27, you are out of university. I put you in a ministry, whether you're a deputy, there's your V8, there's your policeman, just in case somebody was going to shoot you, there's your driver so you don't drive around. Am I not spoiling you? Am I not putting some pretentious life in your head? Because, number one, you can't afford that life. Number two, if you didn't come into politics and you went to any company, no matter how successful the company is, there's no way you live 10 miles away from work, there you go, $100,000 Jeep, they won't give you that.
Well, to say we are spoiling them, I wouldn't want to use that word. You see, the world now is moving towards the younger generation. And I think Africa must follow the same trend. Because even in our part of the world, we have a very youthful population.
Samuel, if I put the same minister in America, London, in Japan, they will not give him a Land Cruiser to drive 5 miles to work.
Yes, but it depends on the individual. You see, it comes with a sense of responsibility. If I'm 27 years old and you make me a deputy minister, the question I should ask myself as an individual is, what am I here for? I should see that as a call to duty, an opportunity to serve my nation. So it depends on the individual. If the person gets carried away, oh, this is where I am today, that is where the person will go off track. But if you have somebody who is committed, who is ready to work, the person will learn quickly on the job.
But more often than not, they've been carried away in their utterances. More often than not, in their utterances.
Yes. If you talk about the utterances, you see, the problem we have in Ghana is that we celebrate noisemakers. We have people who can talk, they are eloquent, but there's no content in such people. And they carry themselves as political spokesperson or communicators. And the moment they make the noise, we celebrate them, we say, oh, you are the man. But such people do not have any content in them.
I'll take a break here. When I come back, I'll put the same question to Dominic as to, the things you shower on them, does it get to their head because of inexperience, however good they may be in their ministry? Stay tuned, we're coming back. Hello and welcome back, and the discussion is, does age matter in politics? And we have on the phone one of the youngest patriots, if I may say, who entered politics at 25, Dominic Nitiwood, who's an honourable member of parliament for Bimbilla. In the studio I have Samuel Kingsford Segler, who's a research fellow for policy and Center for Policy and Research. Do I have Dominic on the phone?
Yes, you do.
Very good. My brother, at 21 years old, right, I had a BMW which was given to my father from my grandfather. And my father used it for a long time before I got it. And I told you, even with that old car, I was on top of the world. So I can imagine coming out of school and being handed down a V8. I won't be on top of the world. I'll probably be on top of the planet. It will get to your head. No matter how human you are, you might feel a bit invincible. And so it might be consistent with some of the utterances that we hear in the press, all the time.
But I believe that today you can buy more than just a BMW. You see, when your father gave you that BMW at 21 years old, you may have felt on top of the world. But you did not let that stop you from developing beyond what you should develop.
Only I wasn't in charge. No, but only I wasn't in charge in government then. I was in charge with my small household.
I understand,
yeah.
But the feeling is the same. The feeling is the same. The feeling of being on top of the world, or the feeling of saying that, well, I've been given an opportunity and I have to prove myself. I have to prove to the people that trust that has been given to me by the president, I will do it and do it to the best of my ability. That feeling is the same. There are some who feel on top of the world, who would behave like what people would expect young people to do. There are others who will say, well, at the age of this, at that particular age where you have given me that responsibility, I'm going to prove to you that you haven't made a mistake. And for that matter, I'm going to make sure that I succeed. But you see, like your case, you decided that, well, your father has given you a BMW through your grandfather. I am going to buy my own. I'm going to fight for myself. That's why you are where you are. But you see, the fault of the failure of every minister is traceable to one person, the president. Because he's the one who appointed you in the first place. He knows your abilities. He knows you very well, and he appointed. I don't believe there is any president today who appoints somebody without knowing the person. If you are a president and you allow lobbyists to lobby you, you allow chiefs to lobby you, or you allow interest in the party to decide who your ministers are, and you dump those people on top of the people of Ghana and they cannot perform, then you are the one everybody should blame. So if Vicky, for example, was not good enough to be appointed, then it is the president, your mama, who everybody will blame, and not her, because she didn't appoint herself. Young people who are failing, old people who are failing, did not appoint themselves. The people of Ghana gave the executive power to a particular individual who says, well, I want 80 people to come and assist me to carry out that mandate. And I want VT, I want Ablakwa, I want Bagbin, I want Kumbo, I want this person, because I know you can deliver. So that failure is that person. Now, when the person comes and decides to fail, it's you. Because it is your duty to make sure that person, you monitor that person very well. Because you are giving the trust of that person. Now, when you give the trust to that person and you leave that person to his fate and the person fails, you should also know that you are sharing the bulk of the blame. So everybody will have to blame the president for the monumental failures that we are seeing in the ministers. Because the ministers need to be monitored, they need to be tutored. If you don't know somebody, then you don't put that person. So the young people, if you have a young person who is failing and is on top of the world and is refusing to rise to the challenge, then it is the president who should be blamed. Because there are two things. Either you decide that, well, I have been challenged and I'll rise to it, or you decide to let pride and arrogance and the position sit in your head and you misbehave. Let me go left or you go right. If you go right, it is the president who should be blamed. If you go left, it's the president who should be blamed, because he's the one who has appointed you, who has given you that authority. Because that authority was not given to Vikish. That authority was not given to Ablakwa. The authority of the state was given to the president, who then decides that, well, out of the 25 million Ghanaians, I need these 80 people to come and help me. That is how it is. It is not as if, it's not like your father's home where your father has no choice. God has given you, through him, you as a son. He has no choice. He cannot make any choice. But the president has a choice. Okay, so he should do his homework well for bringing the person.
Please hold on for me. Let me come to Samuel in the studio. Samuel, in that case, are we using too many party boys under the guise of, let's go for the youth?
Well, I wouldn't go that way. I cannot tell. But
if you look at the case of Victoria Hammer, there have been so many incidents where it doesn't speak of who a minister should be.
Yeah, I'm being careful because I don't want to get into the political side of it.
Well, you have to, because we are talking about politics.
I'm speaking from a civil society perspective.
No, but
what I can say is that
getting into politics as a younger age.
One case in isolation. So you cannot generalize one person's situation and say all young people are the same. Now you can know me. You can know me very well, but you cannot predict what I will do tomorrow. So the assertion Honorable Nitiwo made that if somebody is performing bad, then you blame somebody. Earlier on, he said that the young people themselves should see it as a call to duty. You see,
sorry, not the young people only in the NDC, because if you look at the young people, even in the MPP, they also get in trouble for utterances.
That is what I'm saying. I'm not mentioning any particular. Both sides. Yeah. You cannot say that because you know somebody, you can predict how the person will behave tomorrow. You see, and we don't also have to create the impression that young people are a kind of dangerous species. Because the same young people we are talking about, let's ask ourselves, we see them in industry, they are performing well. Look at the private sector. You see very young people, they sit in the cars you are talking about, they get the V8 and all this, and they are performing well. Talk about Beige Capital, Michael Nyinaku, 34 years. Talk about Barclays Bank, Benjamin Dabra, 34 years.
No, but they haven't been just come out of school and be handed Beige Capital. He's worked for his Beige Capital. I'm talking about a situation where you've come out of school and they've given it to you. You haven't worked for it.
You see, and I'm saying that is an opportunity for the person who has been given the opportunity to learn quickly, to see it as a responsibility, a call to duty and serve. So to some extent, well, you can say where it is obvious that this person, you know the person cannot perform and you put the person there, then you can blame the appointing authority. But we, the young people ourselves, should also rise to the challenge and see it as a call to duty. And also, society has the responsibility of grooming people for the future. You know, Chinua Achebe asked in his book, Things Fall Apart, he said, where are the young suckers that will grow when the old banana trees die? What is the older generation doing so that when they fade out of the system, the younger people will be experienced enough to take over? You see, it's not necessarily about the age, as I said from the beginning. It's about your ability to demonstrate competence. We have younger people and older people who have occupied positions such as ministers and deputy ministers, and we also certain decisions they took. Some young people today will not take such decisions. You go to the hospital, you see a very young doctor, very young nurse, and though the person is young, you are comfortable enough to entrust your whole life into the care of the person and say, take care of me, I'm sick. You appoint a very young person as your driver. Anytime you sit in the car, your life is in the hands of that young person. We trust them, so we shouldn't create the impression as though young people are bad. You get what I'm saying?
I put the same question to Dominic. Dominic, I don't have the statistics, but if you do it, you realize that political parties use the eloquence and youthful exuberance of their supporters who hop from station to station, and they normally get in trouble because of their utterances. And then as soon as the party comes into power, they are the first ones to go straight into a ministry and act as a deputy. And it seems to, cut across board. Are we using them because of that, or are we truly saying, oh, let us introduce young ones into the party? Have I got Dominic on the phone?
Yes. I believe that there are many young people in this government who nobody heard of them even before. You see, in party structure, there are what we call communicators, those who go on radio. Then we have the foot soldiers, those who work on the ground. We have other people who are silent operators. They work, you may not know, you may not see them. Very few people in the current system, they're using the current system as an example, were even on radio talking. You don't even know them, you don't even hear of them. But it is because somebody or the presidency believes or the president believes he knows their abilities, that's why he's hiring them. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it is not so much about your ability to talk or your ability to be eloquent, but the person who is appointing you knows you or should know you or should trust someone who knows you very well. That's why they are appointing you to that position. So if we nail it down to the fact that people are talking well on radio, then it will be mistaken, because there are several people who have been appointed who never even said a single word on radio. But because they have seen them do one or two things somewhere, or they have worked with them before in a particular field, they trust their ability and they are able to do that. In other case, there are few people who have come straight from school. There are very few. There are less than even 1% came straight from school and have made mistakes. I believe there are many people who have worked. They may be young, but they have really worked before. Because many people now complete the university below the age of 24. And when you are being appointed a minister by 30, 35, 36, you have actually worked for 10 years. So you may see the person looking very young, but the person has worked for a couple of years, somewhere that you and me may not know, but the appointed authority may know. And in fact, if you go to parliament today and you see very young people, they're highly educated, very highly educated. Many of them hold their masters, two masters. Some of them hold PhD. And some have really worked in sensitive positions in areas in their field for some time before. So it may not necessarily be true that if you talk well on radio. But of course, in politics, just as in the media or in any other field, the media can help you grow. You can be a creation of the media. And so if you talk well on radio and people begin shouting your name, it helps you. It may not necessarily be the reason why they are appointing you, but it helps your cause. That, well, people think that this guy talks well, he's intelligent. Because if you're in your bedroom and you talk well or you are intelligent, by the way you analyze issues, or by the way you're able to do your research and come out with information, and you're able to say one or two things, and you don't go on national TV, you don't go on national radio, or you don't go on campaign trail, nobody knows you. Nobody knows that you're intelligent, or nobody knows how you can analyze issues. But when you go on TV or radio, then people begin to say, oh, this guy looks very intelligent. So it may not be surprising that such people may be the people will pick. Because not just the president alone is seeing you, there are multiples of those who can influence the president who see you.
You don't think it's a reward?
At least your name comes out first.
Don't you think it's a reward? Because you hear it all the time that the ones that talk the loudest, always get rewarded. Is it not a reward rather
than? Trust me, politicians will always reward those who work hard and are loyal and are competent. These key three words are the key things that a president will always use to appoint people. First, you should be loyal, you should be competent in whatever you are doing as well, because when they give you the job, you should be able to do it. The president should believe that you can do the job. You should also be loyal, and you should also be someone who is working hard,
Dominic,
who has the ability to work hard.
Dominic, was Victoria Hammer inexperienced?
I think that from the graphs that I have seen from her, from the short time, remember she has just been appointed a minister less than 4 months ago. And from what I have seen of her over the last 4 months, I think she was really inexperienced. and she took too many things for granted. If you listen to, especially the last conversation, forget about even the speech, which for me, I mean, any experienced person will not do that. Because even as you sit in your car, you are reading that speech for the last, you are making notes. Even when you are sitting down and people, they are opening the prayer and other people are speaking before you are reading the speech, you are making notes. You are changing some few words.
Thank you very much, Dominic.
To see the occasion. So for her to come and do what she did, she's really, really inexperienced. Secondly,
thank you. That's all time will allow me. I wish we had more time to discuss, but thank you so much for joining me. The topic was does age matter? Thank you very much, Samuel, for coming in. I think the thing is that it's experience. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the age is. If there is enough experience and responsibility, then why not? You are serving your nation and do it wholeheartedly. And as I always say, tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. Thanks for tuning in.